What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about how Canadian Mounties are trained, which sounds extremely fascinating to me. I love learning about this kind of stuff. And also, just to get this out of the way, Americans in general have no idea what Canadian Mounties are. Americans have a very stereotypical idea in our mind of what they look like. Actually, most Americans think Mounties are everywhere in Canada, that all police in Canada look like Mounties, dress like Mounties. That's the only police force in all of Canada, and that they're everywhere, keeping the law and peace. And I know that the reality is they are a very specialized, very specialty trained national federal police force, mounted police force in Canada. That's, it's not easy to become a Mountie. It's like an honor. It's something special. Whereas most Americans just think they're kind of all over the place all the time. So I think that's really interesting. And I think learning about the seriousness and the difficulty of how Mounties are trained. This video here is about their boot camp, how you become a Mountie. It just sounds fascinating to me because it's just not anything. I don't even know much of anything about the Canadian military or police force or Mounties or anything. So I just thought this was a fascinating topic. So let's take a look.
Nunez, in what year did we become the Royal Canadian Mounted Police?
1920.
Really? That's what you're going to give me? That's as loud as you can be.
1920.
My goodness. Heaven forbid the day you have to yell at someone, "Stop, police! Drop the knife!"
It's funny because I didn't exactly know how boot camp in Canada was going to compare to the classic American military boot camp that all Americans have kind of seen in movies and on YouTube videos. And this, I don't know if this person is a drill instructor or not, but they're definitely acting exactly like an American boot camp so far with the yelling and the seriousness and wanting the recruit to yell. And it's funny because I didn't exactly know because it's Canada and I've never really seen how the military acts. I wasn't sure how it would compare, so it's actually very similar. It's kind of interesting to see Canadians yelling at each other for once, but it is serious and it is the military.
Because they're coming at you with an edged weapon. There's no whispering. There's no room for meek and mild in this job.
Yeah. I think this whole video would really be like almost good for Americans to see, because Americans also have the stereotype that Canadians are like these just harmless, happy, super nice, oh, sorry people. But obviously there's like lots of Canadians that are very, very serious. Like that, there's just a diversity of people and personalities, and it really shows with looking at something like how Mounties are trained.
Count it out! Let's march! What? Feet! Stand down!
These cadets are training to become members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, more commonly known as the Mounties.
There we go. This is perfect. This right here, this uniform, the red with the hat, this is exactly what all Americans think that the entire Canadian police force wears at all times. So it's just funny how completely wrong that is. It's kind of funny in a way.
But before they don the iconic scarlet tunic, known as the Red Surge, all cadets have to graduate from the RCMP's 26-week training program.
The Red Surge. The uniform has a name, the Red Surge. That's kind of awesome.
Which combines intense tactical training with customs and traditions.
To the Queen! Queen to the Queen!
That are steeped in Canadian history.
Right. Wow.
Every year, about 1,000 cadets graduate from the academy before joining the 20,000 RCMP officers serving across the country.
Ah, so there's 20,000 active duty Mounties typically, with 1,000 new Mounties being created every year. I wonder how difficult it is to even get the chance to be part of this academy, this 20-some week training to become one. I imagine it's quite selective, because that's not a lot of individuals getting to graduate.
On a bitterly cold week in December, we spent 5 days at the academy, where we saw different troops at various stages of the 26-week training program.
Okay.
On day 1, a new troop is welcomed by the academy's commanding officer.
Everybody wants you to be successful. We're incredibly happy that you're finally sitting in these seats as members of Troop 29, and we want you to be successful, but we're not going to do it for you.
Oh, wow. This is a little different. Like, they're wearing ties and button-up shirts. Like, there obviously is... That makes me think that maybe all these recruits had, like, a very formal application process, and you probably have to, like, possibly have graduated maybe from university or have a degree in something, or there's a huge, like, I don't know, sort of educational component to all of this. It's not just like you're joining the military where you're learning military, like how to use a gun and how to guard things and carry out orders, but when you're becoming a Mountie, seems like there's a large education involved, obviously with being like a federal police force and having to learn the laws and like all of the different duties you're going to have in that position. It seems very like intense in a way.
You have to do it for yourselves.
The application process, which includes a polygraph test, can take about 8 months.
Everybody took a year out of your life to finally get here.
Wow.
We sometimes see cadets go home after 24 hours. It takes probably a couple of weeks to get used to the routine. So
Wow.
give it at least a couple of weeks. Work hard, have some fun, and good luck.
Wow, this is intense. So they have seen, wow, they spent like a year, the process of even getting to this point to get to start the Mountie training takes a year. And then sometimes people leave after a day. That is crazy.
Are we a kinder police organization? That is a comment that we actually verbally say out loud now. We're in the service industry. We're out there to serve the Canadian public. So if we create that type of environment, we're hopeful that the cadets will remember that, and when they are out in their various communities, that they will continue to work with the communities as they were trained.
Wow, love that. Love that. And obviously, like, that's the mission, huh? That's great that the commanding officer there is, like, acknowledging and making a point that part of the training is, hey, our mission is to serve the people of Canada. That's what we were made to do. That's what we're here to do. Like, at the end of the day, we're not here to, like, be aggressive or that we get to do military actions and missions. It's not like, that's not the point of view. Like, it's some kind of movie, some kind of action movie or something. It's like, no, we're here to serve the people.
Training happens here at RCMP Academy Depot Division, located in Regina, Saskatchewan, about 100 miles north of the U.S. border. It's a region of Canada known as the Prairie, where during our visit to Regina, sustained winds combined with the low temperature made it consistently feel about negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit.
What? Oh my gosh. Wait, so like even right now, standing on this road, it's like negative 25 Fahrenheit? Let me just go to Celsius so everyone knows what we're dealing with. Negative 25 Fahrenheit to Celsius. Negative 31 Celsius. Ridiculous.
The starting salary for a constable in the RCMP is about $53,000 a year.
Okay.
After 3 years, it increases to about $86,000. Applicants
Wow.
must be at least 19 years old and willing to relocate anywhere in Canada.
Yeah. That's kind of how it works in America as well. the more time you spend in any kind of military organization or any kind of police organization, you can make a pretty decent living, which is good. You like are literally putting yourself in harm's way for the sake of your country. So I think that's a real good thing. Canada seems to think that too. It's very nice.
Must be at least 19 years old and willing to relocate anywhere in Canada, including remote provinces like Yukon and Nunavut.
Oh, that's interesting. So by becoming a Mountie, you could be deployed anywhere in Canada. Anywhere. Wow. That just like hit me. Like anywhere in Canada. Like there are some very, very, very lowly, not very populated parts of Canada that they're highlighting there. Some of the territories, some of the north regions of Canada. But you got to be prepared to be deployed wherever you're needed. Wow. That's a big commitment.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, as we know it today, was founded in 1920.
The Canadian Rockies, the legendary Mounties,
Almost exactly 100 years ago. Wow.
are the symbol of law and order in this vast domain.
Although they're called Mounties, the RCMP isn't a mounted police force,
Oh.
and horses are only used for ceremonial events.
Okay. See, there's like another huge misconception as well for Americans. It's crazy how this stuff spreads. Even I thought that Mounties were probably on horseback like a decent amount of the time. No, it's literally only for ceremonies, parades, and stuff. Other than that, man, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Here come the Mounties to get the men that are
We're not what you see in the movies from Hollywood. People see the red jackets, pointy hats on black horses, and they think that's what the RCMP is. But we're police officers first and foremost, and I think that's probably the biggest misconception.
That's true. That's true. Americans, particularly, and maybe it's because of movies and stuff like that, where the Mountie was bursting into song. That can kind of alter your image a little. But I don't think Americans realize how serious this job is. Like, obviously, like as a police force.
The reality is policing back roads in small towns by yourself. We are a police force. That's the biggest message.
Right.
And it all starts here, at Depot,
I need you to stand up. You're under arrest for assault with a weapon.
where most of the training is focused on mastering police procedure, practiced in realistic scenarios,
Right.
where cadets play the roles of both the officer and the suspect.
Anything that you do say to me can be used as evidence. Do you understand?
Yeah, I just want you to let him messed up. I didn't mean to. I'm not that type of person.
Okay, good to know.
Did I get
There has never been even, I don't know if that came across as particularly kind, but I don't think there's ever been an American police arrest that was that cordial and that polite. Okay, good to know. Although I did notice that Mounties read your rights to you, just like in American police. Same exact thing. Interesting.
a 1028, 1029 pros on a Saskatchewan marker when ready?
10-4, go ahead.
We're trying to prepare them for the realities of policing.
Do you have anything on you that could hurt me or you?
Policing isn't an easy profession. We make the program such that they will be physically and mentally prepared. But they also have to have common sense. They have to know their powers of arrest. They have to know the law.
Exactly. That it's obviously very, very good that they're doing all this practical training, like simulating arrests, like all that kind of, because when you get into the actual real life as a police person or a Mountie, it's the real world. Literally any situation could happen, and you are the person there to deal with it. So it's tough to even train for that kind of job. So it's really, I have a lot of respect for it.
So it's a real combination of two things that need to happen all at once.
Male and female cadets train together at Depot. And even face each other in Police Defensive Tactics Training,
Oh, yeah.
or PDT.
Obviously, in policing, we don't choose our opponent. We're not going to be always be matched with a normal size like you would see in a sport of boxing or MMA.
Right. This is what Americans need to see more of about Canada. You know, Canadians punching each other, kicking each other. Maybe change America's complete outlook on the whole thing. Be like, oh man, we got to steer clear of the Canadians. Like, they're kind of tough. They might just sock you, you know.
Most of our cadets come here without any backgrounds at all. Some of them have never been involved in a fight, so it's very difficult for them to understand how to deal with a situation like that.
Cadets are faced with additional disadvantages. Sometimes they're only allowed to use one hand, or they're only allowed to use leg strikes. Another exercise requires one combatant to spin around in circles before the fight begins.
Oh, no. I already could not become a Mountie. Probably because I'm not Canadian would be my one issue. But no spinning around for me. I would be like, okay, you know, I spent a year trying to get into this thing, but I'm good. You want me to spin around? That's where I clock out.
If you get into a fight with an opponent out there in the street, it could happen that you get hit in the head, and that can create like some kind of dizziness, a little bit of a concussion type of scenario. We want to make sure that they have this kind of understanding without putting them into a concussion, obviously, because we don't want them to be hurting themselves.
Yeah.
But with punches flying, minor injuries do occur.
Sometimes some things like that happen. We try to mitigate that as much as we can, so it's almost a good thing that he can feel that, so then if it happens in the field, he knows how to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the closest you can come to really even trying to simulate the unpredictability of getting to a fist fight, a street scuffle with some random person.
In this scenario, cadets attempt to subdue an aggressive assailant and apply handcuffs, but it's not easy. To make the scenario more challenging, cadets are matched up with assailants who are bigger and stronger than they are, whose objective is to try and grab the gun and baton from the cadet's duty belt.
Wow.
The reason that...
Right, exactly. That's exactly what, like, some unhinged person that you're trying to arrest who does not want to be arrested would be doing. Like, grabbing at your equipment, grabbing your gun. Yeah, like, this is very serious. Like, obviously. It's just funny to me. Like, the more I watch this, it's exactly like how policemen are trained in America as well. Like, the same kind of thing. But for some reason, kind of what I was talking about earlier, like, the whole picture of a Mountie to Americans is almost like this innocent little fun thing. Oh, Canadian Mountie, ha ha ha. Oh, those Canadians. And it's like, no, this is all really, really serious stuff.
We do this is basically to allow the police officer to reassess the totality of that situation. And now that jeopardy has raised for the police officer, they should be able to reassess that situation.
I got his legs.
Communication is the big key here. They want to communicate with their partner and then come up with a new plan based on their risk assessment, which is always evolving.
Nobody dies at depot.
Oh yeah, see, half of them are getting injured during the training. It's like very serious.
This is the place to make mistakes, because when police officers make mistakes, people get hurt. Some of the stuff they see and will see is not nice, and we need to help prepare them for that physically and mentally.
Yeah. This also makes me like want to look up crime statistics in Canada versus America. Maybe that's a different video or something, but I'm just curious, like, how much violent crime there is in Canada versus America. How much of this kind of situations can Mounties expect to encounter in the field once they are graduated? I'm just curious about all that now, because I do, in my mind, view Canada as like a much more peaceful, on average, much lower crime, much more peaceful nation. So I wonder how much truth there is to that with the data.
Being exposed to pepper spray is a common part of law enforcement training, and it's no different in the RCMP.
Yeah.
We want them to get an appreciation for using pepper spray so they understand essentially that it's painful. And
Yeah, this is like exactly, I know they do this in American police training as well. You have to get pepper sprayed. You have to experience it. Not pleasant looking. I mean, there's there's a lot of snot too. I didn't expect so much snot.
And so they understand that it works, it's effective, and that they can fight through it if they are exposed to OC spray themselves. They do 50 jumping jacks. So we just want to get their heart rate up just to simulate as if they were in some sort of a physical altercation, perhaps. They then go into the actual chamber where it's been contaminated with pepper spray.
You've already gone 1019. I said just make the arrest.
And then they have to make an arrest on the subject inside that chamber.
What? They have to make an arrest while pepper sprayed? Oh my gosh. I bet you they dread this day during the training. They know like pepper spray day is coming. Wow.
Keeping their eyes open, being aware of their surroundings, and fighting through that painful experience.
Wow.
But at Depot, cadets take it to another level.
You don't sound good.
After being exposed, cadets exit the facility and perform an arrest in the freezing cold.
Would you like to speak to a lawyer when we get back to the office?
They probably barely notice the cold when they're out there immediately after the exposure. It's only once that the effects have worn off that they've realized it's actually cold outside.
Oh my gosh. I wonder what you can do to... Is there something you can do to like wipe your eyes? Some kind of special chemical or something to help you after this? Or yeah, and if you get pepper sprayed like on the job, it'd be good to have that. Yeah. But they're ready to just make the arrest like with snot and tears running down their face in the freezing weather. Okay. Yeah. If anyone who says this stuff isn't hardcore is definitely wrong.
It actually will help somewhat with numbing that pain of the pepper spray once they get back into a warmer environment.
Good.
Just had to adjust the volume. Is everybody able to hear me over there, lane 1? Can you hear me okay? You guys can hear me okay? Okay, because the things that I say are so important.
Cadets fire between 800 and 900 rounds during their 65 hours of training on the firing range.
Okay.
Probably 15-20% of the cadets that show up have some sort of firearms experience, whether that's pistol, shotgun, rifle, or hunting.
So Mounties, I'm guessing Mounties do carry a firearm when like in the field? Because I learned that in like the UK, police in the UK don't even carry a gun like when they're on patrol out in public, which was just mind-blowing to me as an American. Like, American police and guns go hand in hand, for crying out loud. So it seems like in Canada, I'm just like curious because now I know it's possible. Canadian Mounties probably carry guns, I imagine. Obviously, they are training for it.
We're able to take someone with absolutely no pistol or firearms experience and make them quite good shooters and successful through the program.
Right.
So week 2, they're actually issued their service pistol, Smith & Wesson 5946. That is their pistol.
There you go. They get like a service pistol, like a pistol that they have on them at all times. And during their training before, they were practicing not letting an assailant take their gun from them. So they definitely carry a gun. Okay.
And it will follow them through their career until they so retire or move on to something else.
Wow.
Firearms is a very important skill set to have, and if the day ever comes that you actually need to rely on your pistol to protect a human life, it's going to be a situation where we hope that you're proficient and you're prepared for that day when it does come.
Yeah.
I was here yesterday.
Sheesh. Okay. Wow, this video is long. This is like a little documentary about how Mounties are trained. I'm really enjoying this, but I think I'm gonna stop it here just because we're barely halfway even through this thing. Definitely, if you're enjoying this, come back for part 2, which will come out after this video. Definitely gonna watch the rest of this part 2, but if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in the part 2 or more videos kind of like this, me reacting to Canada, Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.